These are the Nothing Phone 3A and Nothing Phone 3A Pro, and make no mistake, this one may be called a Pro, but it's very much a mid-ranger with kind of cheap hardware. It's a bit of a blow to Nothing fans who have been waiting for a Nothing Phone 3A true flagship with the full Glyph and hopefully top-tier hardware. But okay, if you're in the market for a mid-range phone and you still want it to look kinda cool, these do fit the bill. Can't beat the geeky design, the glowing Glyph and the staggered lens design on the 3A Pro, right? The difference between them is about $80. Now, these are not readily available in the USA, but you can join the US beta program to grab one. Nothing Phone 3A with 256 gigs of storage and 12 gigs of RAM for $379, and then the Nothing Phone 3A Pro, 12 gigs of RAM, 256 storage for 459 buckaroos. So if you look at them from the front, you'll be looking at the same size, design, bezels. Those are 6.77-inch OLED screens, both with 120Hz refresh rate. The bezel is equally thin on both, and the button positioning along the frame is the same. Volume on the left, and on the right side there's a power and a hey, what's this? This is the new Essential Key, which is sort of Nothing's version of an AI assistant on the phone, but not exactly. It's kind of cool. I'll get back to it when we talk about software. Now, the backs of these is where the differences come in. The Nothing Phone 3A looks kind of like the 2A, but you'll notice that it now has 3 lenses. This is an actually useful upgrade, not a macro camera or a black and white camera, right? Now it has a zoom lens. We'll get to that in the camera section. Now the Nothing Phone 3A Pro has this circular camera module with slightly better cameras and this staggered design. I've read a lot of opinions online of people hating on it, but personally I kinda like it. It has this techie, chaotic look, almost like it's a secret prototype you're not supposed to have. The back is, of course, transparent again, and this time it's real glass, not plastic. However, the frames on both phones are still plastic, so they do feel warm and cheap-ish to the touch, but that's offset by the buttons quality. They feel very clicky and reassuring, actually a bit better on the Pro here. Here we have Nothing's signature Glyph interface. Now, on both the 3A and the 3A Pro, it's limited to only 3 LED strips. That's a bummer. I would have liked to at least see more elements on the Pro, like look at how many lights the flagship Nothing Phone 2 has. What does the Glyph do? It can visualize your ringtone when the phone is face down. You can even program different light patterns for different contacts from your address book. That was one of Nothing's selling points. You can flip a Nothing phone down, it will automatically mute any sounds and only notify you with the blinking lights. I don't know, disconnect? This top left LED strip is actually a timer. You can set it down to time your Pomodoro work sessions, or you can sync it to your Uber or Google Calendar to show you arrival times and meeting times. Okay, before we go on to the cameras, I am quickly going to mention the hardware here, basically because it's the same on both phones. You get a Qualcomm Snapdragon 7S Gen 3, which sounds like it should be more powerful than it actually is. In fact, the chip is a bit of a disappointment. You can get something more powerful if you buy an older mid-range phone like the OnePlus 12R or the Galaxy S23 FE. But don't get me wrong, daily tasks, it didn't feel like these phones were sluggish. The Nothing OS is pretty light and snappy, and if you don't want to game or edit clips on your phone, they are perfectly fine. The only times I would notice a delay is when I take a photo and quickly go to view it. It takes some extra beats before it processes it, kind of like on a Google Pixel, which also come with their own underpowered chips. You need to leave! Alright, so the cameras, as the design suggests, this is basically where you will find most of the differences between these two phones. They both have a 50 megapixel main sensor. It's not the same one though, they are both both engineered by Samsung to some capacity, and the one in the 3A is very slightly smaller. Then they have 50 megapixel zoom cameras. The 3A has a 2x telephoto lens and its sensor is Samsung made. The 3A Pro has a 3x periscope lens and its sensor is Sony made. The ultra-wide camera on both is a downgrade compared to the old Nothing Phone 2A. It's now an 8 megapixel Sony made sensor. That was a mouthful and you are bored to death. Let's look at some samples. When we're outside with plenty of light, both phones take decent photos. They do struggle with wide dynamics, either the shadows get crushed or the highlights get a bit washed out. Interestingly, I like the contrast on the 3A here a bit more. When we move indoors, still with a good amount of light, those differences begin to disappear, but the details on the Phone 3A start to get softer, while the Phone 3A Pro holds it together pretty well. On the zoom side, the Phone 3A Pro is definitely better, producing better details all the way through. Now, the Phone 3A has a maximum 30x zoom and the Phone 3A Pro taps out at 60x zoom, but it's safe to say you won't be using them at those levels. These lenses are here to help with small framing decisions and for supposedly better portrait shots. Speaking of which, portrait mode on these is okay, especially when you're outside in the broad daylight. When the light is low, they struggle quite a bit to separate subject from background, though the Pro is still a bit better here. Last difference is the selfie cameras. 50 megapixels on the Pro, 32 megapixels on the regular 3A. They're fine. As before, perfectly good selfies in daylight, and in the dark they maintain good detail but wash out the skin tones. Now let's talk about the software and that essential key. What is it? Basically, it's supposed to be your quick and easy way to set reminders, record meetings, and maybe some other stuff coming down the line. Here's how it works now. When you click the button, you take a screenshot and it goes into the essential space. If you hold the button, you can record your voice over the screenshot and then it goes into the essential space. The space works kind of like Google's Screenshots app, where it uses AI to analyze the information and store it or even schedule reminders for you. For example, here's me screenshotting a Chrome homepage which warns me that I have 2 passwords compromised. The essential space will analyze that and automatically set a reminder for me to change those passwords, so it understands context and urgency and I didn't even have to prompt it with my voice. Or I could be looking at this poster for a summer festival. I could go, remind me to ask Steven and buy tickets on Friday. And again, the AI will analyze the photo and put all the relevant information in one spot. In the future, Essential Space will have a search function so you can more easily find your notes thanks to the AI keywording, and it will be able to capture images with your camera and record meetings, supposedly summarizing them. Nothing OS is great, at least I like it. It's very flat and techy and efficient. It even has an icon pack that can turn any one app into this black and white icon and kind of clean up the colorful mess of a home screen you may have. I also love the way you can have extra large folders on the home screen. Now, these allow you to fit more apps on one screen than you normally would, yet they are big enough so you can launch the app without opening the folder first, so it's just a one-tap launch still. So, in general, the Pro is not that much better than the 3A. If you want to save $80, you can. Personally, I like the design more and I find that the cameras are a little bit better. Are they $80 better? Maybe. Now, why isn't Nothing launching the flagship yet? A successor to the Phone 2? I have a feeling that maybe it's because the Essential Space is still not ready, and maybe there are some more neat tricks that are still not ready, and the company wants to launch a Phone 3 with a more complete experience. That would be cool. Stay tuned and subscribe for whenever that happens. See ya! Drop a like!